Warning, you're about to hear raw unedited footage directly from the Team Fortress 2 sector of Valve headquarters. This is real, highly legitimate leaked commentary between two veteran developers that don't even play their own game. As such, viewer discretion is advised, batteries not included. July 6, 2016.
Hey man, I'm looking over what we got for the next TF2 update, but I just feel like we're missing something.
Alright, tell me what you've got. We don't want another end-of-the-line disaster.
Well, we're planning on pushing competitive mode.
You mean ruining?
Right, ruining. Right, sorry.
Alright, next.
Well, we got this cancer tier game mode with like friggin' hooks and balls. I think that might be good.
Too confusing for new players. We might want to consider dropping that from the update.
Okay, well, we're also planning on fixing the bison. You know, for no goddamn reason it keeps hitting players like friggin' multiple times.
Okay, wait. Put a pin in that. Did you just say hats?
No, I didn't just say hats.
Are you sure you didn't say hats?
No, I didn't fucking say hats.
Well, don't you get it? That's the issue. There's no fucking hats in this update. That is our fucking problem.
Well, you do realize that we're gonna chuck this update off the boat tomorrow. We're gonna have to do this like stupid fast.
Okay, nothing new. We'll just re-release what we already have. Actually, better idea. Even better idea. Why don't we just add a re-released crate for each class? We can just randomly chuck shit in there and fuck it. I'm sure people will buy it.
That's not even good logic, but our player base is hella dumb. Wait. But here's the good part. You know how we kinda screwed up everything by making every single hat in the game go like friggin' all class? Well, why don't we mess up even more by adding a crate with, wait for it, only all class cosmetics?
Sounds like a fucking phenomenal cash grab. Let's do this.
July 4th, 2017. Greetings everyone, Ben here from the Virtual Economist, and today I am joined by Zeno to talk about something that you guys might not have ever given much attention to. That is, the unlocked multi-class crate from the Meet Your Match update. You see, while you may have loved the idea of getting only killer exclusives, modest and allfathers, I've despised this crate from the beginning, and I want to make a video discussing why exactly I consider this crate to be such a disaster for the game. Now, for the time being, I'm going to put aside the fact that this is obviously a giant cash grab on Valve's end. Whether Valve intended it to be or not, it certainly rakes in the money, and it is no doubt the most profitable active crate or case. However, I don't want this video simply becoming a rant about Valve doing exactly what any good gaming company should do. Instead, I wanted to go over 3 specific flaws that I see with the all-class crate and how they affect the game in an adverse manner. Alright, so without further ado, let's get right on into it. Take it away, Zeno.
Hi, I'm Zenomite. If you're hearing this voice, there's a good chance you might very well know who I am and might dislike me intensely. That's okay. Now, I'm no professional game designer, but I'd like to believe that I know a thing or two about what makes Team Fortress 2 tick. I'd also like to believe that I understand, at least to some degree, a little bit about economics as well as psychology. And that's what the focus of today's video is on. From what I can gather, the multi-class crate is an example of fairly poor design on Valve's part. The first issue with the multi-class crate comes with the inherent design of the crate dropping only multi-class items. It waters down the prestige of owning or obtaining an all-class cosmetic. In any normal crate or case, getting an all-class or multi-class item is something that is quite desirable. They're often quite rare and give you far more functionality than any other item. In addition, most multi-class strangers and miscs are more expensive than regular cosmetics due to that. So potentially you can make your money back. However, whenever you get an all-class item every single unbox, it no longer feels special and drives down the value of these multi-class items. The second issue with the multi-class crate comes with making old parts of this game that we play functionally obsolete. You see, in a better economic system, I believe that the developers should try and prevent adding things that would essentially override old features. Yet, this is exactly what the all-class crate does. In the case of the multi-class crate, almost every item is functionally a strict upgrade to anything you can get out of any other crate. Now, this is very important, because any unusual that you unbox out of the crate is going to be an all-class or multi-class hat. There is literally no point of unboxing anything else when the upside is so high for taking a crack at the multi-class crate. All-class unusuals are expensive, and you can still get the chance to unbox a valuable first-gen effect. Honestly, aside from the cashing in on new cases during hype season, there is literally no good reason to unboxing anything else than the multi-class crates until the prices of multi-class hats declines, and makes it so that other options might be more profitable. Does that seem too good to be true? Well, arguably, it is. To explain why, I'm going to pass it back to Ben, because most of this has been scripted by him and I was just asked to read it. Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Now, just like Zeno just mentioned, any unusual that you can get out of the multi-class crate is, well, a multi-class unusual. This is actually very, very important to why I really don't like the multi-class crate, because as it turns out, being able to only unbox expensive unusuals out of a crate has proven to put a large strain on the high-tier unusual market. You see, back a few years ago, unusual trading was quite a bit different. There were less hats, less effects, and certainly less overall unusuals on the market. Because of this, it was much clearer to determine what unusuals were good or not, and it was commonly accepted that all class hats such as the Killer's Exclusive, the Crone's Dome, and the Executioner were expensive god tiers simply because they were rare. Enter the multi-class crate. This crate essentially promises that if you unbox an unusual, you will get an all-class unusual. And since so many old god tier hats were all-class, the multi-class crate basically reads, well, unbox an unusual, get a god tier. Now, as you can imagine, overnight everyone starts to unbox and unbox and unbox the new multi-class crate. And I mean, who can blame them? It gives you by far the greatest return value on almost any unusual unbox. Now, if you thought there has somehow been a greater amount of god tiers unboxed recently, you wouldn't be crazy at all. Every week I am stunned by how many insanely expensive unusuals are uncrated right out of the all-class crate. There have been so many new burnings, scorchings, sunbeams, purple and green energy unboxes on prized hats such as the Law, the Gibbous, and the Hong Kong Cone. Now, remember how I said that old god tiers were expensive because of their rarity? Well, now we have a massive problem. These once rare god tier hats are slowly becoming more and more common, and their supply now far outweighs their demand. Even worse, most all classes still have insanely expensive backpack.tf prices representative of when they were once rare, and desperately need to be lowered to reflect how common they're becoming. Unfortunately, the only way to lower these hats in value is to record players selling them for lower than their backpack.tf prices, and to me it has become abundantly clear that most people would rather not sell their items at all than sell at a cheap price. When you put all of this together, people are essentially unboxing these super expensive unusuals and are then struggling to sell them because nobody wants to buy them at their insanely expensive backpack.tf prices. And at this point, it's honestly hard to tell what is even god tier anymore, simply because the all-class crate is really just making god tiers cancer. Just plain wonderful. Now, let's get into my third complaint with the all-class crate. If you remember from earlier in the video, you'll know that we said that unboxing the all-class crate is basically a strict upgrade to almost any other crate out there. Well, as I found out, this is the case for almost all players across all skill levels, including brand new players who know literally nothing about the game. And to me, that's a major problem. When new players unbox these all-class crates and get a god tier unusual, they put themselves at a huge risk of being scammed or sharked. People with malicious intent just browse backpack.tf premium, find these dumb people, and trick them into giving away their unusual for basically free. And if you've been watching a lot of YouTubers like Spiky Mikey or Pyro Joe, you've seen this happen firsthand. A lot of new players unbox all-class crates, get a god tier, and within a week get scammed or sharked. The thing is, this simply didn't used to happen as much. You see, back a few years ago, when a god tier all-class unusual was unboxed, almost 99% of the time it was from a veteran trader who really just knew how to avoid getting scammed. This was simply because the only way to get a god tier effect was to unbox an unusual from a series 1 through 25 crate, and since those crates were relatively old, new players really just didn't have them. But now, new players can unbox god tier simply by checking out a few multi-class crates in the Manco store. While I wish this could just be solved by educating the community more about sharks and scammers, the sad truth is that the people that get scammed here are the exact same people that probably have no clue how to find the information to avoid it in the first place. At the end of the day, I hope I've proven that the all-class crate is a problem for the game. However, to me what is even more concerning is the fact that it looks like the crate is going to remain in the game indefinitely. To be honest, I thought that the unlocked crates were part of a Meet Your Match promotion, and that they would be removed from the store a few months later. Apparently though, this was never Valve's idea. As it stands, as long as the all-class crate remains in the game, the high-tier market is going to continue to struggle with the items unboxed, and more players are going to be scammed off new unusuals than ever before. In addition, the presence of the crate creates huge problems if Valve wants to add new unusual effects. If you're wondering why, just take a look at the Halloween 2016 update as an example. When Valve added new unusual effects to be unboxed from any crate, people simply mass unboxed the multi-class crate, leading to a crazy situation where at least 5 times as many all-class unusuals were unboxed as single-class hats. Unfortunately, this caused the market to go into panic as nobody knew what the hell to value them at. Now, if Valve wanted to avoid this, the obvious solution would be to only allow the new effects to be unboxed out of the new cases like they did in the Invasion update. However, judging from the community response after that, I think that everybody dislikes that idea even more. To be honest, it seems like in the presence of the all-class crate, adding new unusual effects is a massive lose-lose. Now, before I go, I do want to point out one thing. This doesn't have to be the case. If Valve simply removed the all-class crate before the next update, the high-tier market might just have enough time to recover. Also, if Valve is too scared to pull the plug on their most popular crate, I can think of a number of ways they could modify the multi-class crate's unusual unboxes so that it isn't quite as broken with old god-tier hats and brand new effects. Of course, this begs the question, would Valve actually do this? Well, to be honest, I don't even think that they are aware of it. Valve is probably so head down working on the primary scope of the game that they probably don't even think to take a look at the traders on the peripherals. So in wake of Valve asking for suggestions on their weapon balances, I thought I would email Valve and try to educate them about my views on the all-class crate. Thus, as you can see on the screen right now and in the description below, I am sending them a TLDR version of this video presenting my problems and a few simple solutions. Who knows, if Valve can see this before the Pyro update ships, they might just be able to implement a slight change. Anyway, that is just gonna about do it for the video. Do you guys agree with what we said about the all-class crate? How much of a problem do you think this actually is? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. A big thanks to Zeno for helping me out with this video, and until next time guys, thanks for watching.